All right, it's time to go live here. It looks like I'm in a fucking child's bedroom. How's everybody doing? I mean, I'm committed to bringing the highest quality content to my fans. I've lost 2 subscribers in the last week. Is that because of my controversial opinions? I mean, it's complicated. It's nuanced. It's there's I think we're supposed to be put in these kind of bins politically or something, where it's like you're either X, Y, Z, you're a leftist, you're a liberal, you're a neo-lib, you're MAGA. But I think the political picture on the left is like more complicated. These are fickle people. They're sophisticated, nuanced people, and I guess I'll start off with talking about mamdani because I was just watching the David Remnick interview with mamdani, and I like mamdani. I'm pro mamdani. I will vote for mamdani. I think it is like a hopeful uh, situation in the modern political landscape. It's proud of New York for being the spring of that, but also the glaze is insane that this guy is getting, and I just don't. He hasn't even been elected yet. He's on the cover of fucking Vanity Fair magazine. It says "The Legend of Mamdani," and it's like the dude has not even been fucking elected. He's not the mayor. He hasn't done shit. So let's. I mean, it's cool and everything, but the hype is. I I get it. That's just kind of how the leftists are. Is like very kind of bandwagony or like whatever like the hot thing is. It's just like there's all this kind of crowd enthusiasm, uh, which is people want to be political. They're politically engaged, and we are thankful to have candidates like this who are fighting for more populist uh, type positions or issues or whatever. But he's sort of like Bernie, where it's like, what has he really accomplished other than he's able to occupy this position of like uh unsullied, kind of unspotted, special. He's easy to get really enthusiastic because he is one of the few politicians, him and Bernie and AOC are who are outspoken about, like Mamdani wants these free grocery stores or whatever, city run grocery stores, free buses, rent free, like his policies are addressing cost of living crisis, and they're very simple. His messaging is very on point. His TikTok videos, he's hip in that he's like a lot of the people in New York. He was a rapper. He was a fucking SoundCloud rapper. And he's a child of privilege. He's admitted that. He says something about when he moved to New York when he was 7 years old, he never had want for anything. And so it seems to me in my experience that those type of upbringing, those type of like socio-political situations help people to be idealistic in this way. You're more likely to find poor educated people that are like MAGA or something because they don't really like. I think I heard that Mamdani doesn't do well with like African American voters, which is ironic because he is African. And it seemed, I mean, a lot of his rhetoric is sort of like I don't know if I'd say appropriating, but like he mentioned Martin Luther King a lot in this interview with David Remnick, and he said something about how he stayed in some uh, I don't know, rectory or parish or something where Martin Luther King recovered when he was stabbed, and he mentioned Martin Luther King, like, and not that that's bad. I mean, of course, Martin Luther King is an icon and a hero, sort of unparalleled in a certain way in this country, and it's refreshing to hear that. But he also said a lot of stuff about George Floyd and Eric Garner and this police shooting issue, which is another big thing for the woke left, whatever you want to call it. And so I think it's interesting that he's outspoken and he seems to want to use black experience, or the ways that black people are subjugated or abused or whatever. He wants to use that as part of like his political campaign narrative or story or his talking points or whatever. And but at the same time, like, my understanding of it is he doesn't have support from that community, or like that community is like, let me look it up real fast. And it seems like, let's get the statistics here. I want to get the real statistics of like strong black voters under 50 support mamdani by over 70% compared to just 36% of older black voters. So I guess maybe older black New Yorkers. Uh, as an African-born, this is the AI answer, by the way. I'm reading the AI overview, which has become sort of the de facto, like, Google. It's weird. It's become like this thing that you use to just like get advice or something. It's become like a personal assistant or something. In the June 2025 primary, mamdani lost many of the city's most solidly black neighborhoods, with his opponent Andrew Cuomo garnering significantly more support among older black voters. Some older and more moderate black voters were initially skeptical of mamdani's ties to democratic socialism. This concern echoed previous resistance among older black voters to Bernie Sanders' presidential bids. In July 2025, it was revealed mamdani had checked the African American box on a 2009 Columbia University application, leading to outrage from some black New Yorkers who saw the action as an attempt to game the system. He later clarified that he did not consider himself African American, but rather an American who was born in Africa. He secured political endorsements from prominent black religious leaders, including Al Sharpton and Letitia James. Let's see how he does among poor, uneducated voters. Does mamdani have support among poor, uneducated voters? Oh, there's no AI result for this. Mamdani's gifted and talented plan. Blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, that's kind of an interesting schism, I guess, that older black voters. Here we go. An Emerson College poll conducted in June 25 found that among voters with a four-year college degree, Cuomo led mamdani 61% to 39%. Conversely, mamdani received, without a college degree. So Cuomo is winning on people without a college degree, 61% to 39%. Whereas mamdani, it's kind of the opposite. Mamdani received stronger support from college-educated voters, beating Cuomo 62% to 30%. So it's sort of reversed. Poor or uneducated people without a college degree support Cuomo 60%. Educated people Uh, it's the opposite. Blah blah blah. Mamdani support scores skews toward younger, progressive, and more highly educated voters. I think part of it is, I guess, maybe older people are more brainwashed by the Democratic establishment. Um, I mean, I think a big part of it is just like people look at the establishment political parties, particularly in the light of Trump, as like this lame, staid, uh, bought and paid for corporate APAC money. They're like robots, or they don't represent us at all. They're not even human. They're like reptile fucking. They're so fake. They're so like calculated. Even people like Cory Booker or who's this guy, Hakeem Jeffries. It's easy to portray, and even Buttigieg, right? Even Buttigieg kind of has this vibe, like watching the Andrew Callahan. I'm a political junkie, everybody. Okay, no one's watching. I mean, it's Friday. It's kind of nice outside. I don't know. I wanted to get on. I just want to stay in the fucking habit of doing this. I've got time to do it, so hopefully people will watch this later, maybe. Uh, and so they're lame. They're like the boomers or something. It's just like, okay, boomer. It's like we don't want that. We young people now, it's no longer like the Democrats are like the youth party and they're sort of like the culture, the edgy, like artist party. It's now like the Democrats are just as bad, if not worse, than the Republicans. They don't fight for us. They're bought and sold by APAC. They're pro genocide. Kamala didn't come out against the genocide. Biden, didn't stop it. And so Trump sort of did this sort of punk rock thing where he overthrew the Republican conservative traditionally. I mean, the Republicans are traditionally the kind of staid, normal, normie, boring, white, golf people. They're not like the rock and roll party. It's like Jeb Bush was their fucking candidate until Trump came along. This kind of like very middle of the road, clean. The Republican Party, the Christian element, and just, I don't know, maybe the whiteness. Like the Republicans used to be like the party of like uh morals or whatever. That was like their sort of image, or like propaganda was like they weren't gonna, like, they wouldn't swear, they wouldn't, they were like the kind of like not play by the rules, but like they tried to occupy some kind of like, we are, I mean, even the word conservative kind of implies like uh mild mannered, or like not dirty, not obscene, not sexual, not gay, not. And so it was easy for the Democrats to sort of look cool. Somebody like Bill Clinton, or Rock the Vote, he's on MTV. And it's like Bill Clinton looks pretty cool next to fucking George Bush or Bob Dole or whatever. Um, whereas, Trump is sort of part Elvis. Trump is like, as punk rock in a way. He's sort of like Andrew Dice Clay. He's like a bad boy. And so there's this real, I think this is one reason why they have any youth support. Republicans traditionally didn't really have much youth support. If you were a young Republican, it was like a joke. It meant you were like a little asswipe, kind of dweeby, like wearing some kind of emblazoned, crest on like your blazer, and you go to fucking, I don't know, Yale and you're just some kind of like vindictive, slimy, like Rush Limbaugh wannabe, like the young conservatives at Ohio State, they're always like kind of malicious and they felt like Nixon's fucking like little goons or something. Uh they liked sort of they've always liked that. They've always liked sort of uh getting a rise out of people or insulting people, being kind of pricks, getting under people's skin, playing dirty, Watergate, Rush Limbaugh calling women feminazis, or Hillary, spreading ugly rumors or whatever. And so the Democrats have not had a similar uprising. There's been no candidate that was sort of like, other than Bernie, right? And they shut his ass down. Trump was able to just like tame the Republicans and sort of make them his bitch, basically. I mean, every single one of those guys, Rubio, Ted Cruz, they all were anti-Trump in the beginning. They all said the same. JD Vance, they all said the same shit everybody said. We'll never vote for this guy. He's bad, blah, blah, blah. And now they're all in his fucking cabinet and shit. Bernie and leftists in general, they're coming from a place sort of trying to be the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. That's generally like the liberal populist. Let's try to democracy. Let's try to make as good shit for everybody through the government, through wealth redistribution, government programs, free shit. Which we love, so there has been sort of like a groundswell within the party to sort of create a new vision, which is really an old vision, which is really just socialism. It's nothing new, but yeah, the Democratic Party for, probably since at least, the 70s or 80s, probably, maybe Jimmy Carter, hasn't been really about socialism. It's not really about, and they systematically dismantled like the labor class in this fucking country, the blue collar, so any kind of organized labor lost all its fucking power, basically, it wasn't. Democratic Party became way more about like lifestyle issues and like being pro-gay, basically. For most of my lifetime, that feels like what the Democratic Party has like predominantly been concerned with, is like, how can we push like gay rights? That seems to be like the prime motivating like goal. And like, to be fair, they've done a lot. There has been a lot of progress. Like, I think people don't really realize like what it was like in the fucking 80s or 70s as a gay person versus like what it's like now. It's a different fucking world. And that's great. But it was also sort of concurrent with wealth inequality exploding and people just no longer being paid a fair wage. There's been a detachment between the wealth that's created and how much the fucking workers get paid, right? Since the late 70s, it's gone like that. CEO pay has exploded, and Bernie is very fucking focused on that. Billionaires, like their messaging couldn't be any more fucking simple and clear. We got to tax the billionaires. It's that fucking simple. There's no reason to have that much money. There really is. Unless you want to, these guys want to go to fucking Mars. They have to like invent a justification for having that much money. Like, oh, I'm Elon Musk. I need to be a trillionaire because, like, how else are we going to get to fucking Mars? You know, like, I'm a genius. The government's not going to do it. I literally haven't had a single person tune into this. Is anybody ever going to fucking watch this? You know, we'll never know. I keep seeing all these fucking TikTok videos about how I'm about to experience a come up. I don't know. I think these videos, they just lie. They just tell you whatever you want to believe. It's pretty nice out, I gotta say. So, you know, I don't know. It's just it is weird to me how enthusiastic people are for, like, you know, like, I don't think it's a bad thing, but it seems to me like the fact that Mamdani is, like, Muslim, not white. His name is sort of like not a English white person sounding name. Um, you know, this is like part of the reason why. And it's, you know, like if Mamdani was just some fucking white guy, he wouldn't have gotten anywhere. Like, I saw some fucking TikTok video the other day of some white guy in Brooklyn who's like running for city council or some shit. He's probably thinking, you know, I'm kind of surprised more people aren't doing this. Maybe they're just not getting the press coverage, but like Mamdani basically primaried his assemblyman opponent in 2020, and he basically primaried fucking Cuomo and all the other candidates. Fucking, he did primary Eric Adams, basically. You know, but this is like something that it's like the universities and all the kind of leftist spaces. It's like this is the branding that's like required. Like if you're some fucking white guy that's like trying to run for city council in like fucking Bed-Stuy, like it's not just like anybody who throws their. I mean, Mamdani is like very fucking smart. Like that's clear. Like the dude is on his shit, and he is able to talk like very specifically on policy, and he's able to answer fucking all of the Trump bullshit that's coming after him. But like I said, the dude has not even been elected yet. He hasn't done anything. And so, like I said, I will vote for the guy absolutely. I think it's a great thing. Like New York's had some fucking like De Blasio or Eric Adams. Like Jesus Christ. Like yeah, we can have Mamdani. He would be like probably the best mayor since Bloomberg, the billionaire. You know, not that Bloomberg was like a great mayor, but like there was a lot of quality of life things that I think probably were enhanced. Um, so let's fucking, you know, let's not put the legend of Mamdani on fucking Vanity Fair cover because I don't know. It's just like that. It feels like maybe that's just people, but it feels like that's how the progressive, fashionable intelligentsia kind of operates. It's like you have to have like this hot, you know, you have to be hot on social media. You have to get all these hot chicks are into fucking Mamdani. All these like cool people are into Mamdani. That's a little off putting. To like just like kind of an ugly normal person like me. You're like, well, I don't know. Is that maybe these people are smarter but you resent them for that. You know, you resent them for being so good at policy, for being so emphatic and sort of know-it-all about like what the fucking answers are. And like you know, maybe it is because there's so much corruption in the fucking government, but you know, Bernie's been around a long fucking time. He's been a mayor since like what, the late 70s or early 80s. He's been a senator, at least 25 years. And he's an outlier, definitely. And he's a necessary voice, and there should be like an outbreak of socialism. There should be 20 or 30 Bernies in the fucking Senate easily. There should be Bernies all over the fucking country. It shouldn't just be these like, like New York right now, I think is like, it's a concentrated enclave of educated, sexy, like narcissistic, serious, like people that take themselves very seriously, artist people, Whole Foods people, like that's why they fucking live here. And so it creates a population where like a Mamdani, somebody like that, who's Ivy League, who went to fucking Bronx Science, who is a child of privilege, he's like those people. He's a fucking winner. He's a fucking SoundCloud rapper. New York is full of trust fund kids. It's full of Nepo babies. It's full of people who are not working class, frankly. And it's a little weird that those are the people that like are signing on for the fucking working class talking points. And all the working class people are like MAGA or fucking, apparently they're voting for Andrew Cuomo or something. And so like, where is the fucking Mamdani in Ohio? Where is the fucking Mamdani in Texas or fucking Louisiana or I don't know, Portland, Washington, California, Illinois? Like there's AOC, there's the Squad, there's politicians here and there. But in a certain way, I don't know. It's just another kind of polarization. The red states get redder and the blue states get bluer, but there's not really like, red state, like Ohio doesn't have Medicaid. I couldn't get Medicaid in Ohio. I would not qualify. I wouldn't qualify. It's like somebody like me should go out and get a fucking job. And the belief of the people there is like, that's how it should be. Like you shouldn't get free shit from the government. Because it comes out of my tax dollars, which I don't want to fucking pay. Or it's debt that we took out that we owe to China. Whereas like New York, it's like that's one of the reasons why I'm like I'm committed to staying here, because it's like I get free shit. Even though the cost of living is higher, it's like, well, yeah, but I get free health insurance, at least for the time being, thank God. You can get other things, like I don't really pursue it that much because I'm not totally in that system, but like you can get fucking SNAP here. You can get fucking, like half off your subway pass. There's a lot of handouts. There's a lot of entitlements, which is good. It makes it a good place for poor people. You're not just going to like fall into some kind of like opioid death spiral. Probably you can probably get help here somehow if you need it because there's big government here, and hopefully Mamdani is part of that. He will fight for that. And he definitely doesn't seem like he's owned by some kind of lobby. I think he's sort of like Trump in that a lot of Trump's, or at least one of the things he said early on in his campaign, part of his appeal was he's not taking, this was his lie, is he's not taking lobbyist money. He doesn't need it. He has his own plane. He's got his own fucking money. He's not like Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz or all these other fucking clowns who like their whole their whole wealth is based on bribes, basically. Getting paid off by the NRA, getting paid off by APAC, getting paid off by, that's what Washington is. There's tons of fucking corporate lobbyists. Big tobacco, big oil, whatever the fuck it is. It's the swamp that we're all so familiar with. Meanwhile, Trump is like inventing a fucking crypto and like people are just dumping money into it and he gets a fucking jet from goddamn Qatar and I mean, I will say Trump does seem to be like involved in the Middle East. Like he goes to those countries and he seems like not necessarily in a good way, but like he bounces around those countries in a way that I can't remember a president doing. Trump has always prioritized Saudis, this fucking thing with Qatar, and they're saying that that is having an influence on the Israel ceasefire. It said something about what did they just built some new base in Qatar, or Qatar built some fucking base here or something. So they said that was one of the reasons why Hamas sort of capitulated because I don't know, they felt threatened or something. They saw what happened in Iran and they said, well, I don't know, they're already getting fucking hammered. But I digress. What the hell was I saying about well, okay, so it's uneducated people that don't understand like Bernie is better, Mamdani, the policies are better. It's like why the fuck would they vote for Cuomo? Why would older people vote for Cuomo? Or is it because they're more conservative? It's because he's somebody they know. I mean, say what you will about Cuomo, like he has been the fucking governor. What wasn't he in Obama's administration? He was like the HUD secretary. So it's like he's not just some person. Like literally, Mamdani, he said something about when Obama got elected, he was still in high school. Not that that's a bad thing. Like the youth, this is what we're seeing, I guess. Young people are like, it's cool to be leftist. That's, a lot of these people that are like free Palestine, it's like they don't really know what the fuck they're saying. It's just like, that's what's cool. It's become like cool to fucking put the flag in your profile and wear a fucking keffiyeh and go to the rallies and shit. Without necessarily knowing other than just like, we don't like this. It's a genocide. We don't want to see babies get killed. It's just sort of like another bandwagon fucking thing. Like a fucking, like a rock concert or something. It's activism, so it's good that activism is cool. That's like a good thing. The Democrats should be able to fucking harness that. Why can't they harness? They are looked on as part of the corrupt fucking thing that just has to go. Like, they are old and lame. They're old and in the way. Obama was the candidate that, like, the youth, he persuaded the youth. He was exciting. He was sexy. He was rock and roll. It was change. It was, it was sort of a visible, obvious change because he was black. It was like, it was the progressive position. And he went up against McCain, who just like, McCain didn't really have a shot. McCain really had not really charisma or, he was just not really. I have a theory about the election. My theory is that it's, they say it's whichever guy you want to have a beer with. I had something in one of my previous live streams about how Clinton got a blowjob and like, we need a blowjob worthy candidate. And I might say that it's almost like a bellwether. Is like, which candidate do you think is more blowjob worthy? Is probably the candidate that will win. Like, would you rather give John Kerry a blowjob or George W. Bush? Probably neither. But if you had a gun to your head, that's our politics. You got to give a blowjob to one of these candidates. You have a gun to your head. You have to pick one. They're both terrible. But we do have a gun to our head. Most people opt out. I don't blame them. They don't really want to give a blowjob to any of these jackoffs. Maybe Bernie, just because he's like nice. But I mean Trump, right? Like Trump was probably more blowjob worthy. Who would you rather give a blowjob to, Kamala or? I mean, she's disqualified. That's why no woman has been president. Trump versus Biden. I mean, apparently, I don't know. At that point during COVID, I think Biden was running on the fumes of like his aviator kind of like Camaro dad vibe from the Obama years. His sex appeal from the Obama years. He still had a little bit of that. Hillary, would you rather give a blowjob to Hillary or Trump? Clearly, Trump was the answer. So that's my, I don't know. Maybe it's not political. Maybe it's not foolproof. I don't know. There's a plus or minus margin of error. Anyway, mamdani, clearly. Who would you rather give a blowjob to? Mamdani or Andrew Cuomo or Curtis Lewa? By 20 points, it's mamdani. So, yeah, New York is a collection of coastal elites and educated people and wealthy people who want to be cool desperately, who want to be famous, who want to be like, living the fucking ultimate lives that, everybody they have to have the best. You can't live in some second class city. And so I don't know. It's frustrating for me being somebody who comes from poor, uneducated people. And, people who don't necessarily vote in their own self-interest and who are like proud of it. And, I don't know. I guess it's just easy to feel like resentful or jealous or left out, or I don't know. I'm just distrustful of any kind of like bandwagon thing. And what am I going to do? I'm going to get on board and all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, I'm knocking door to door from Mamdani. And there's so many people already doing that. It's become like the cool kid fucking, like fucking Mamdani's on like Stavros fucking podcast. He's on fucking I don't know. There's hot influencer model chicks. It's like it's the number one badge of fucking like clout or something to get like a picture with Mamdani. Or he was just at the Lucy Dacus show. There was this big Lucy Dacus show, and her surprise guest. It wasn't a celebrity. It wasn't a fucking songwriter. It wasn't an artist. It was fucking Mamdani. So it's kind of like maybe they are the new fucking rock stars. It's these politicians who primary the fucking establishment. But I mean, like I said, it doesn't. There's something about like being a white guy. It just feels like, I mean, Bernie is Jewish and he's old. He started it, really. He almost primaried Hillary. And he was sort of, I mean, the Bernie bros and, during the election year of 2016, there was definitely in Brooklyn, it was the same vibe. It was like that was the fucking cool hipster fucking thing to do, was like canvas for Bernie. But it's like you're in New York. It's like it's already a super blue place. Like you really want to fucking preach some Bernie, go to Ohio or West Virginia or something. I don't know. Staten Island. Or, Midwood. Midwood is like 98% Trump or something. How do they feel about mamdani out there? Uh, so I'm excited. I hope he gets elected. I hope he does make massive fucking waves and just show the rest of this country what's really possible. Use New York as like an experiment or a laboratory, to demonstrate on a small scale influence the rest of the country into having fucking community refrigerators or grocery stores, I guess. I see these community refrigerators everywhere in New York. It seems like the same kind of. I mean, I part of what's frustrating about it is like the leftists, like they really don't give a fuck. They don't want to be liberals. They don't care. Like part of it is exclusionary. Like they do not want you. If you're like white guy, if you have a white name, like you're not any good to them. You don't look good on a poster. Like it just looks like more colonizer shit. They have been weaponized in like college fucking programs and shit. Everybody I fucking went to college with at OSU, and this was in the 2000s, practically everybody I went to college with. I mean, at OSU, it was easy to have like a triple major because that place is just a fucking degree factory. And a lot of your credits will count for this and that. And the fucking guidance counselors will literally just waive shit to get you through. So it was easy to kind of have I was a double major without really doing anything extra. And maybe like one extra quarter. But you could take like 30 fucking credit hours if you wanted to. They'd let you just take shitloads of classes if you really would push yourself. I think I did 24 credit hours or something. And one quarter. Everybody I fucking went to college with had like a woman studies major or a black studies major or something like that, which like when people told me that, I didn't think anything about it. I guess I was thinking, because growing up, the only thing you ever fucking hear about, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be whatever, XYZ, writer, artist. How are you going to make money doing that? What's your major? I'm a theater English major. How are you going to make money doing that? Literally, that's all you ever fucking hear. Not that they were wrong. I mean, I have made no money. Let's be clear about that. I've made no money at all doing that. Not that there's not to say there isn't money in it, though. But it's like, that's how I was thinking about it. Oh, you have a women's studies major. What the fuck is the point of that? Like, I mean, other than the fact that you want to learn it, which is a great thing. I'm not against that, but I was just baffled because I'm like, this is a real fucking, like, that's a job. Like, what is the job of that? Like, if you're a black studies major, I knew a bunch of white people. And we're like black studies major, which is great. That's awesome. In retrospect, I'm like, that was actually pretty smart. Now I'm looking back and I'm like, oh, I see now. Not necessarily for like job, but it's like that's just a smart thing to learn about. And that's cool. But at the time, I'm thinking, what is the job for that? Like English major is one thing. There are jobs. You be a teacher, you be a professor, whatever, writer, grant writer. There's things that you can do with that. Now we see the humanities are fucking more important than ever, even as they're going extinct. But, women's studies, it's like, what's the job? But now, I mean, there is sort of like a whole DEI industry. I hate to say it, that has become like a part of corporate protocol, probably to cover their own ass, like in legal issues. That's how it feels to me. Is like, well, we have to have all this fucking training so we can't be sued for like racism or whatever. If something happens in our workplace, we have plausible deniability because, hey, we made these people go through fucking sensitivity training. So it's not our fault they're racists. It's not our fault they're sexually harassing each other. We did all the corporate. We've spent, millions and billions of dollars on this fucking sensitivity, and it's just become a lot of people's like livelihood. And it was a booming industry. The Roxanne gay industry was like booming during Trump won. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Which, it was a great thing, and it still is a great thing to see that cultural advancement. But I don't know. Is there ever going to be like a time where like it just seems like the left is so dug in on wokeness, for lack of a better word, and it is just this sort of like performative, like stylish, fashionable, careerists, Instagrammable. It's a way to leverage into views, clicks, authority, jobs, money, whatever. Uh, but it's you know what is the place of white guys in that? And is there one? It doesn't seem like there is. And so there, all I'm saying is like just from like a voting point of view, it's like it seems like the left, and that includes the Democratic Party in a certain way. I mean, there really aren't. I mean, other than Biden, uh, like the left is a coalition of like non, you know, white male. It's a the Republicans have always been like the white male party in a way. Traditionally, like most of their fucking constituency is white males, property owners, people who have money, people who don't want the government fucking with their money or their whatever they're trying to do. They don't want regulations or laws because they're alpha male, extremely fucking, and that's traditionally what Republicans are. And then the Democrats were like everybody else, women, gays, or at least like the gays who were out of the closet, gays who were comfortable with themselves. Uh, Not the closeted gays who were like in a fucking bathroom stall at the airport or whatever. They're all Republicans. Um, Sorry. I mean, this is like, I don't know. How else do you talk about this stuff? It's stupid. We wish we could live in a colorblind society or a society where everybody wasn't like minced up into these like very specific identity categories, which became like super important. And it just seems like the MAGA people just said, you know what? We don't give a fuck about this. And a lot of people just said, we're kind of tired of this. But it's like they're alienating the men. They're alienating the white guys. They don't want the white guys. They don't need the white guys. Ah, God. I just wonder what all the Free Palestine people are going to do now that there's a ceasefire, supposedly. What are they going to coalesce around? That was such a battle cry. And it's like, it was like a mantra. It was so clear, it was so simple. And, it's great if there's a ceasefire and if the killing stops, that's magnificent. But like it still doesn't excuse what Trump is doing here. And, that's why it's frustrating. It seems like a privileged position for privileged people like mamdani, frankly, to take, because like they can bank their whole fucking campaign. That's all they care about. They're single issue voters where it's like the genocide. I'm fucking 20 years old. I go to the new school. We want the genocide to stop. That's all we fucking care about. They're not thinking about, well, Trump project fucking 2025 and they're going to kill all of the fucking Medicaid and they're going to fucking, they already repealed Roe versus Wade and like they're going to put the fucking National Guard in Chicago. They're stoking a fucking civil war. They're going to invade Venezuela. Yeah, but okay, they stopped the genocide in Palestine, supposedly. That's the story. They're rebranding the genocide. That's how it feels to me. They're rebranding it. They're rebranding it as like, oh, it's a ceasefire. It's peace. Trump did this. There's been a ceasefire on the table for 2 years that Israel rejected. So it's like they could have done this at any fucking time and they didn't. But they want to do it under Trump because it gets them political points. And it makes him happy. It's a big fat gift to daddy. And the leftists won't know the fucking difference. Or I don't know what's going to happen. Where's that energy going to go? In a certain way, this is a way of just like diffusing that, because that is what these people have decided their entire fucking shit is going to be organized around. Before Gaza happened, it was abolition. It was prison abolition. That's all coming out of George Floyd. That's all these fucking people talked about, was like defund the police, abolish the police, ACAB. It's the same fucking people. And it's like they think they're fucking revolutionaries or something. They think they're fucking like one battle after another. And did that have an effect? I mean, did the defund the police thing have like a positive effect in any way whatsoever? Like, Minneapolis, I know, like got rid of their police department or something. Has that been a positive thing? Has that worked? I don't know. I'm not like pro police, but like, I also can understand why they fucking exist. Like, there are smarter ways to get rid of crime, definitely. But I can understand why the fucking police exist to some degree. A guy tried to stab me on the fucking subway platform the other day. Like, the police weren't involved, but like, shit happens. I don't know. And then so it just felt like all of that energy just went into Free Palestine protests. And I would say that those people made a difference. Definitely. It's been a thorn in their side, I think. Absolutely. In these universities, they don't know, like Columbia. I mean, Columbia is like the prime example of just like, they don't know what to fucking do to deal with these kids. They just like militarize the campus, basically. They put it on like this lockdown. You can't even get in anymore. And they arrested the fucking protesters and like deported them and shit. Put them in jail. They fired professors. And they got away with it. There doesn't seem to be any fucking blowback on that. It just seems like they're just going to proceed. So it's frustrating to just see people like dwindle it down to like that's the only fucking thing they care about. They're going to be really outspoken about that. Ignore every other fucking thing that's going to change. And I don't know. I guess at a certain point we have to like just move on with our fucking lives. Like, what am I going to do? Just spend? I mean, this live stream feels like maybe a pointless kind of like political warfare, but it feels necessary. Maybe it is just a way that they co-opt energy that would be better spent organizing, doing what Mamdani is doing. Fucking organizing people, getting people out, getting out the vote, getting people excited, getting people enthusiastic. What's his take on the fucking ceasefire? What did Mamdani say about it? Whatever he thinks, I think is probably right. Like I do recognize like the guy is like he's calm, he's collected, he's comprehensive with how he like handles his debating and shit. And so maybe that is a fucking like touched candidate or something. We'll see. We will fucking see. I'm excited to see. Uh It'll be interesting to see how he fucking goes toe to toe with Trump and shit. How he handles that. Oh God, what else did I need to talk about? I don't know. People haven't been super excited. I have people kind of tuning in and out, leaving. I mean, this shit is delicate to talk about. And if you're anything but like a free Palestine person, or if that's not all you say, that's what's so weirdly like cultish about it. It's like you have to say genocide, you have to say free Palestine from river to the sea. That's like if you don't say that stuff, then you're like pro genocide. You're a neo-lib or whatever. And Jesus Christ, I mean, not that I don't care about that, and it is like US foreign policy to some degree, but like when it comes to politics in this country, I generally like want to pick the candidate who is going to like make my life better and easier. And it's always Democrats. Hint, it's always Democrats. If those are the two choices you're given, just vote Democrats every fucking time. There doesn't need to be this like back and forth. Like, spoiler alert, like the Republicans fuck everything up when they're in power. It's that goddamn simple. That's how we go further left. Get some Democrats in power and then push left or primary them and do that. That's fine too. I don't think the Democrats are the ones like preventing us from having health care. Like Obama tried to fucking pass it. They really tried. The Republicans skedaddled it. They fucked it all up. They mangled the bill. So it's that goddamn simple. It's not. We can have both. We can have a leftist party and a fucking, we can have leftist candidates, like the further left the better, but like it's better to have a center right. If that's how people want to describe the Democratic Party in this country, okay, they're center right. Okay, but that's better than like literal authoritarian demagogue fascists who are going to put all the woke people in jail, probably. That seems to be what they're heading towards. They want to like criminalize, fucking not mourning Charlie Kirk properly. And so I imagine it's going to be pretty clear to them where to fucking start. And that, that's the shit that like is really affecting our lives. Like, I'm glad that people are not getting killed in Palestine, but now my life is a living hell. It hasn't come to New York yet, but like Jesus Christ, like things are escalating quickly in this country if you're actually paying attention. And it is being fucking like silenced in the media. Like, it's crazy what these fucking ICE people are doing, running into people's cars, fucking firing pepper spray right into fucking people's faces, arresting journalists. This is happening right now in our fucking country. Trump is literally, like, great. He fucking signed this ceasefire. Like, great, great. But, like, look at what the fuck. He's going to invade Chicago. Like, yeah, peace abroad, war at home. Great. I've always preferred it the other way. Maybe I'm just a white, privileged American colonizer piece of shit. But I always liked, when the wars were like someplace else. Send the military someplace else. Like, just don't send them here. Or, better yet, don't send them anywhere. Disarm. Get rid of it. Spend that money on fucking poetry chat books and fucking live streaming equipment. Rather than guns. You sick fucks. How about you go out and get laid or something? Write a poem. Rather than, shoot your fucking gun or whatever. But here we go. Here we go, everybody. The blue cities are apparently the fucking real bad guys. And it seems like they can pretty much deport anybody. They can just rip you out of your fucking job and put you in a fucking cage. Nobody gives a fuck about that. It's so myopic. That's I mean, and if you even saying that sounds insensitive, right? Because it's a genocide, because these people are being slaughtered, they're being mass murdered. That's the public sentiment. Particularly among Gen Z. It's for whatever reason, I don't know if that's TikTok. Apparently it's TikTok. That's why they bought it and they're changing the fucking algorithm. Because they think that TikTok is like brainwashing the kids into being anti-Semitic. I mean, that's the other side of this coin. I mean, granted, they use anti-Semitism as like, you know, a shield or like a threat to like justify a lot of it, what Israel does. You can't criticize Israel or its anti-Semitism or whatever. But it's also like not cool the way that people just blame AIPAC for all of their fucking problems now. Like AIPAC is like pulling the fucking strings of every single thing that happens on planet Earth. Which it's a complicated fucking situation. And everybody's suddenly a fucking expert. I mean, I guess in a certain way, the Palestinian issue does like include a lot of the, whatever they're going to do to those people in the way that that place is sort of a prison and it's highly militarized and they have no control. And it's a place where they probably are testing out a lot of things that they're going to use on the rest of the world. Or at least us here in the United States, when they really crack down the police state, when the authoritarian hammer really comes down. That's the next phase. They're getting ready for it. Plenary authority or whatever. Stephen Miller said some fucking thing about plenary authority, and it was a gaffe. I think he said it on Fox News. Conspiracy. Oh, this is a conspiracy. This is a conspiracy. that Stephen Miller said plenary. Plenary power is complete and absolute power to take action on a particular issue with no limitations. That is what Stephen Miller is claiming they have. Absolute power to take on any issue with no limitations. That sounds like what Trump has been kind of after the whole fucking time, frankly. Oh man, the sky is looking really nice today. I mean, I already talked about like my personal life and shit yesterday. So now is time for me to info dump on the politics and the punditry, because I know people are just dying to hear my weak, compromised, libtard take. I mean, it is just like this position of privilege that like the leftists have, where it's like, oh, this isn't exactly what I want, and so fuck you, you know. Biden caused the genocide. We'll never vote for the fucking, you know. And well, what would have happened if Kamala was the president right now? Would this have happened? I mean, not that anything has happened. I've seen videos of the people are returning to Palestine. The Palestinians are walking back into Gaza. Hopefully, they're not being led into some kind of fucking trap. It's a fucking tinderbox. But I mean, I think at a certain point, like probably their appetite for violence, you know, there's only so much goddamn you want to inflict. I mean, Jesus Christ. They basically leveled the fucking place already. And there's a lot of pressure on them to stop. There is, you know, which is good. You know, there's a lot of, so this is a crux issue. You know, it's not that it's not important. But maybe it's selfish, but that doesn't mean we have to destroy our fucking lives here at home. Nobody can get a job. The economy's crashing. We have these ridiculous tariffs. Cost of living is exploding. There's a million reasons why it's a horrible fucking thing personally for us that the people are in power who are in power and what they're doing, regardless of what the fuck happens over there. And it's not what it seems. You know, they were pursuing the genocide while the Democrats were in power because they knew that they sort of have their fucking hands tied. And it forces people to go, well, Trump is the president of peace. And look, he worked hard for this. He's got a weird interest in the Middle East. I don't know. There's a lot of money there. There's a lot of luxury culture there. And the way they treat women, he probably likes too. He probably likes the way that women are fucking subjugated and they don't have any fucking rights. I mean, there's a lot of business between Saudis and Russian fucking oil people and the BRICS countries and New York. They all fucking come here. You know, that restaurant I worked in, we had Saudi royalty coming in all the time. The headquarters of that restaurant was in Trump Tower, across from the United Nations. And so it's just good business. Those people have shitloads of money. There's tremendous wealth inequality because their royalty just like live these incredibly opulent lives. And so Trump is sort of like self-styled after that in a way. He's almost like one of them. He wants to be like the fucking Shah. He's got Mar-a-Lago. He's got his little fucking Xanadu down there. He's got his little fucking, 1001 Nights kind of kingdom, palatial. Grotto. He's got his fucking big airliners and his big family. They go everywhere and they're like a big royal family. That's how he sees himself. That's how he's always fucking seen himself. Maybe that's the ultimate American dream is to be the king. That's the ultimate social mobility is to be a fucking rich enough and powerful enough. That's sort of the promise of America in a way. I do think in a fucked up way, like Donald Trump does like achieve the promise of America. It's like making good on the promise of America because it literally shows like anybody can be the fucking president. Like this is a guy who was not supposed to be elected. I mean, he is like a child of privilege and was a rich kid and blah blah blah. But he is just this fucking guy from Queens in a certain way too. And he is like this fucking, you know, legendary character. He has been for a long fucking time, since the 80s at least, maybe the 70s. There's cultural references to Trump. Phil Hartman played fucking Trump on Saturday Night Live. And so Americans do like that. They want that. Like this is a country that like wants to believe that about himself. Like, yeah, we want a fucking celebrity, demigod who's banging Playboy models and fucking his wife is hot and his daughter's hot. He's a fucking entertainer. He's on TV. He's got a fucking hit show. He's funny as fuck. His rallies are like fucking comedy specials. And like, dude, I mean, you got to give the guy credit. I mean, this is, Trump caused a ceasefire, so we can say something nice about him. About the Antichrist. Just kidding. I've called a lot of people the Antichrist. It's just a joke. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a word I like to throw around. No big deal, okay? I mean, so what? He's the Antichrist. The Antichrist is a lot of fun. That's the thing, is the worst MAGA people that I've known, they all like some of the most fun people. They're all like super available. They love talking on the phone. If you reach out to them, like they are thrilled. They're thrilled. The devil is always down to party. He is ready for your call at any time. And Trump is a party animal. He enjoys life. And so it is pretty fucking intuitive the way that they grafted. Everybody's favorite word is grift now. Everybody's a grifter. But grafted, I saw somebody say grafted in the same way. And I think, did they mean the same thing? Like grafting. Is that a way of hustling money? So anyway, he intuitively kind of like figured out how to play into social media world. He used the legacy media, because he's always done that. He's always been on Saturday Night Live and The View and fucking, he's got this long running gag where he uses Rosie O'Donnell as sort of a punching bag. She's like his arch enemy, which is hilarious in a fucked up way. I like Rosie O'Donnell. I do. I used to watch Rosie O'Donnell's talk show when I was a young gay man. When I was 12. Rosie O'Donnell's talk show. I don't know why. I have no idea why, but I was like kind of obsessed with it. Rosie O'Donnell had this fucking talk show in the 90s. It looked like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. It did not look like another fucking, like The Tonight Show. It looked like an afternoon show For some reason, she wanted to be on in the afternoon. I guess it was probably like Kelly Clarkson or Ellen or something. Now it's like there's a bunch of these. Drew Barrymore's got a fucking show. For some reason. That's like what celebrities do now. They have fucking talk shows. But Rosie O'Donnell's show was lit as hell. She was obsessed with Tom Cruise. She always talked about it, but she's a lesbian, so that was kind of weird in retrospect. She always talked about how she was in love with Tom Cruise. And then he finally came on the show. I remembered, I watched it live. It was a cultural moment, sort of par excellence. That was way before he jumped the couch. That was when people like thought Tom Cruise was hot. They didn't really know he was like a midget or a short king. There's been a huge smear campaign about Tom Cruise being a short king. They want to hate on you, Tom Cruise. They'll never make me hate you. You're the king of the short kings, Tom Cruise. You're number one. You're short king number one. And that ain't poverty. That ain't poverty. Where was I? I was glazing Trump. We're giving Trump his laurels because we're fair and balanced here, okay? This is the no spin zone. You're in the fucking no spin zone, cocksuckers. Get ready. This is a zero gravity chamber of spin, okay? There's no fucking spin here. I guess a zero gravity chamber would have a lot of spin. This is a hyperbolic chamber of spin. Hyperbaric. A hyperbolic chamber would be something else. It's a hyperbaric chamber. I don't know. Is the audio good on this? I hope the audio is good on this because if it's not, no one will ever watch this. So I'm just talking to. This is like a tree falling in the woods. My live streams are like a tree falling in the woods. I got to say, at this John Lennon thing yesterday, there were like these really not cool looking people that were live streaming, and it looked like they had like hundreds of people watching. Like, how the fuck do these people have hundreds of people watching them? I can't even get one goddamn person to watch. It's because I'm too underground, man. It's this is a best kept secret. My live stream is a best kept secret type thing. Hidden gems. Where was I was glazing Trump? Oh yeah. Well, yeah. His live streams, his rallies that are like stand up riffing, but they're on YouTube, he is definitely a magician, and he is definitely like coordinating this dark carnival. And like, so it's when he bankrupt these businesses, I think it's like almost like a strategy. It's almost just like if you're going hard, it's not necessarily because he's like dumb. I mean, even though he is dumb, I think it's a mistake to think he's dumb too. That's why he's so like the epitome of America, because he's like simultaneously like just like completely idiotic. He knows nothing. He can't even read. But he's also like this weird kind of intuitive. He does have a genius. Like for what, I'm not sure. Social orchestration, being a prick, triggering people, but also like, persuading people. I don't know. I heard this thing, the 3 qualities you need for like leadership are to be a good leader are you have to be able to handle high stress. You have to get used to living in like high stress situations. You have to, oh fuck, what were they? Well, I remember one of them. Oh fuck, what were they? I'm gonna remember this. Give me 1 second. Because it applies to Trump. It was sort of Machiavellian. This was maybe like an art of war thing or some kind of bad Be able to be in high stress situations. Fuck. Let me look it up. Let me see if I can look it up. Let me go to my prosthetic brain here. I mean, I'm sure there's a million fucking 3 qualities of good leadership. Be fuck, here we go. No, this isn't what it is. AI. Here's AI's 3 qualities: emotional intelligence, decisiveness, and resilience. That was not the thing that I fucking heard. It was way more Machiavellian. It's probably, then that means it was probably a bad. Let's see what Reddit says. What qualities and characteristics do great leaders have? Let's see. Let's see if Trump has these. I mean, the characteristics I heard sounded more like Trump. Continually learning and upskilling, growth mindset, authenticity, be honest and leading with humility, empowerment, putting others before yourself and authentically encouraging others to achieve their goals, humility, setting down your pride and actively seeking smarter people than yourself to create an effective team, mentorship, constantly learning from and giving back to others, empathy, grace, emotional intelligence, transparency, and the ability to look at someone beyond being an employee, trustworthy, credible, actionable. Oh, yeah, I don't know. This is a bunch of business speak bullshit. Why'd I bring this up? I wish I could remember what the fuck they were. Give me a sec. No one's watching anyway. It doesn't matter. 3 qualities of being a good leader. Fuck. I can't remember them. God damn it. Not giving a fuck what people think. I can't remember. That's so sad. I fried my brains on drugs. I can't even remember 3 fucking qualities of being a good leader. Under pressure. It'll come back to me. Let me start talking about something else. Oh, here comes one of these moped gangs. Yeah, so I mean the Democrats, well, I think that's a mark of Trump's like talent or whatever you want to call it, is like the Democrats do not have an equivalent. They don't have one singular figure, like even like Bernie or something. It's like he's got a team of like smart, college educated, like creative people like making his videos on his staff. Trump, you really get the impression like it's not his fucking staff. It's him. He's the one. I mean, but he's smart enough to be like, hey, I'm going to go work at fucking McDonald's and like put on the uniform and shit. Or like, I'm going to fucking, be on Kai Trump's vlog, or I'm going to let my granddaughter like vlog the fucking State of the Union or whatever it is. Like, he's smart enough to like see like, oh yeah, maybe I should go on Aiden Ross. What Barron Trump is telling me, like he listens. You get the impression he receives all of his information through like firsthand people telling him shit. I talked to this guy, he told me this, so that's what I trust. I think that there's something to that. That's not a bad way of doing business, actually. And I've known a lot of people who go through the world like that. Entrepreneurs, the people that I know that were like the most alpha and kind of like the most successful like men, that's how they are. Like they're always available. They want to be like helpful. They're networking, if you want to call it that. It's not networking. It's not networking. It's just like being sociably like partaking of just like, working on stuff at all times, working with people, listening, even if it's the guy working on the fucking loading dock, like a lot of times those people have their information is just as good as anybody else's. They can show you another point of view. I heard an interesting thing Michael Moore say once, where it's like the story a lot of times is in like the periphery. Like a lot of times you're trying to go for like the big person or whatever, the center of attention, but it's like, it's a lot of times it's people who are kind of on the edges who like might carry a lot of the history, who've seen everything, been on inside on anything. They're not necessarily like the most flashy, like known people. And so listening to everybody, listening to the fucking guys in the kitchen, the cook, befriending everybody, not being above working with everybody. The qualities that make a good leader. You have to be involved. As long as you're there and you're like side by side with people, like really putting your fucking shoulder into stuff and like working on stuff, that like motivates people. And that's how like I feel like you lead. It's not like this thing where you're like in front of everybody. It's like you're next to them. So you're intimately like a part of what they're doing. And there's back and forth with that. It's not all one person being like, it's my fucking idea, I'm the leader. It's like you want, like it said, you want fucking like talented people around you, people that are smarter than you, people that are gonna push you, cause you to work, at the top of your fucking game or whatever and beyond. And Trump, like his team is full of like fucking billionaires and the worst people alive. Linda McMahon. And so they're going to be very calculated. And now he's got, if you look at him, look at like these Mar-a-Lago, or he just built this fucking ballroom, right? At the White House, because that's where this shit happens. This is how he works. He has these dinners. He charges people a shitload of money to even be in the room because they know they might have his ear. They might get some contract. They might have some influence. Something might come back to them just for being at the table with him and Elon Musk or whatever. And so you see that's how he does. He's at Mar-a-Lago. He's sitting next to Elon Musk. He's meeting with these billionaires. He's meeting with Zuckerberg. That's what he does. He talks on the phones. He has fucking meetings. In a certain way, that is what the president does. The president travels around, goes to factories, talks to the workers, goes out on the floor, makes phone calls, shakes people's hands. Trump's not really a handshaker guy. For a politician, the cliche of politicians is shaking hands, right? And that's the image you always see of candidates, is they're in some fucking diner or something in Iowa just shaking every goddamn person's hand, kissing babies, right? Trump is famously like a germaphobe, right? So like he's not going to shake anybody's fucking hand at all. Well, I guess he'll like shake, President Xi's hand or whatever, Shinzo Abe. He'll give him one of his famous Trump handshakes. His dick flexing contest. Where he just like totally manhandles whoever it is. Insert foreign leader here. But he's, as a candidate, that's not how he works. He's been famous. Everybody knows who he is. I think he goes places and talks to people, but like his message gets out through viral social media type shit. He is like a human fucking meme. His name is like a fucking meme. MAGA is like a fucking meme. Like, the Democrats are way, way, way fucking behind. And like, okay, I guess mamdani has like he's doing a fucking scavenger hunt. He's got like good TikTok videos, but he does have some kind of like media appeal, which is important. He has managed to catch fire amongst, the cool people, the hip people. And he's captured, this, but that's what kind of creeps me out about it, is like the way that people worship Bernie and worship these politicians who they think are going to be like a savior to them. Uh, it's not that different than Trump or a cult thing. I mean, maybe that's just what politics is, but it's just weird to me. I hate to keep using the word glaze. I know it's really not appropriate for me to use the word glaze. What should I say instead of glaze? Uh, the hagiography of the media of those people, and in people's, because they're unproven. Like Bernie never actually got to run for president. He never actually was the president, so he can maintain this idealism in people's heads. So it's like Bernie would have won. Bernie would have saved us. We'd have fucking health care by now if Bernie would have won. But the fucking government is so corrupt, they don't want that. They're all bought by corporate lobbyists, and both sides are the same. They're both owned by APAC, and Bernie would have been different. He would have, there would have been, I don't know what people would have think. Like, just because the Bernie is president doesn't mean shit is going to change. Like I said, Obama tried to do healthcare. It did not work. And so they're able to stay in this kind of like arrested state of like, yeah, like these people are like our fucking saviors. Like, God damn it, Bernie, like Bernie is fucking he's infallible. He's always been right. Always. He's always been on the right side of history. And maybe that's true. I don't know. But if you look at the 99 other fucking people in the Senate who he's got to work with, they're not like that. Like, there shouldn't just be one fucking Bernie. I'm sure he loves it, but like, how come, like I said, how come there's not 30 fucking Bernies across this country? There's Bernie, there's AOC. AOC's in the House. She's not a fucking senator. Like, the House is okay, but they don't have that much power. She's a glorified intern. Oh boy, should I turn on some lights or something? I kind of like this vibe here, but maybe I'll swing over here. I'll do 2 hours and we'll see what happens from there. And so it's like a purity politics thing. It kind of enables purity politics people to think that it's like gonna get better or it's ever gonna be better. Like somehow we are gonna have, and maybe I don't know. Like, how the fuck do we get actual socialism in this country? How do we get a universal basic income? How do we get universal health care? How do we get rent control? Mamdani wants to freeze the rents on rent stabilized. That's great. That's not everybody. And a lot of those rent stabilized apartments are like still expensive as fuck. It'll be like, yeah, it's $4,500 2-bedroom. It's rent stabilized though. It's like, Jesus Christ, that's still like a shitload of money. It's not like some fucking bargain or something. It's still like probably a rich person is going to live there. I mean, that's the ironic thing about like the housing lotteries in New York. It's like you can't really live there if you're poor. Like, it's like in order to afford one of these like low income housing, it's like we have to make 40 grand a year and prove it. It's like, Jesus Christ. Or it goes from like you can make from 40 to like 100 grand. It's like you're making 90 grand a year and you're living in low income government housing. It's like, that's fucking, where's the real low income housing? Where's the apartment that's like $600 a month? Like, that's what people want. Like, and I'm sorry, I just don't buy that. It's like, I know we need to build more housing, like, that is obvious, but that is not the reason why everybody's rent has fucking tripled in like 15 years. That's not why. It's not like the housing stock suddenly became one third what the fuck it was. Like, this shit went from being like worthless practically to like, like when I moved to Park Slope in 2010, it was like, it was not really like a destination anybody wanted to live in particularly. It was still kind of raggedy. It was still kind of vacant. There was a lot of 99-cent stores. Beer craft was there. It was still kind of, I mean, I've met a lot of people who say like Park Slope in like whatever the 90s, you couldn't even go on Fifth Avenue. It was so dangerous. Literally, you could not even walk on Fifth Avenue, like south of 9th Street. That wasn't that long ago. And like I lived there, when I moved in there 2011, I paid $900 a month for like an unbelievable room. That's probably at least twice that much now. It still felt like, hey, I'm like just got a part-time job and I can sort of be an artist in my free time and I have like this unbelievably beautiful, large, sunny. I had a fucking sink in my room. It was gorgeous. I felt like I lived in a fucking Versailles or something. Now $900 a month will literally get you like a fucking closet. And so, I don't necessarily think the problem is they just need to like build more housing. Like literally when I lived in Park Slope, almost nobody cool lived there. And I mean just like it wasn't like now. Like now like Gowanus is like this luxury neighborhood. Park Slope is like good luck finding anything there. It doesn't have like this like cheap like junkyard quality almost. Like there was a mustiness. And like forget about Sunset Park. I knew a guy I worked with who was a waiter at a, he didn't even we didn't make that much money. He probably made $600 or $700 a week, maybe. And he owned a house in like Sunset Park. He bought it like sometime in the 2000s, 2008 or 9. It's like this was a guy who immigrated to this country, worked as a waiter in a fucking sushi restaurant, and he owned a house in Sunset Park. Like a bunch of people I worked with. This other guy I worked with from Egypt, he owned a house in Staten Island. It's like as a fucking waiter. Like that's I don't know if there's people doing that now. So something shifted, and I think it has to do with phones. It's phones, it's wealth management. People can manage properties and they can quantify space and be aware of it now in a way that they just weren't 10 years ago or 15 years ago. 15 years ago, it was like, this is a mom and pop landlord. They don't even know what they have. I got a room in my basement. It's $800 a month. Do you want it or not? Every room in that house was like $800. And they were nice rooms, big, nice hardwood floors, nice doors, backyard, fucking laundry in the house, kitchen, living room. Nice fucking brownstone, like not some cheap new build shit. And so it's just like people have been encouraged to just like extort each other, charge as much for everything as they possibly can. The algorithm is forcing it upward. That's the big problem is the algorithm. Now there's like conferral between all of these properties. Oh, you're charging this, we're going up. Oh, but then now we're going to go up. Now so it's like the rents it's driving it all up because landlords are suddenly these property management firms and shit, things like BlackRock. They manage these shit by algorithm and they set the price of the neighborhood. And so everybody else in the neighborhood has to visit, and so we're just exploited. And I mean, building new houses would definitely fucking help. They absolutely should. There should be a huge civic push to like create some kind of intuitive new form of building. You know, to be honest, some of these like apartment buildings in Greenpoint and honestly on the Lower East Side, they're not bad. You know, they figured out how to make these kind of like glass condo buildings to be a little bit more like cool looking and kind of like livable. You know, they're not quite as cool looking as like an old tenement building, but like they a lot more people, there are a lot more units. And so it's like it's obvious. It's like if they need to build more units, it's like these old apartment buildings are not really big enough anymore. They could build a unit on the same lot that probably has, you know, way more stock. It's clear that that's the future. I mean, when I lived in Park Slope, at the beginning there was nothing on Fourth Avenue really. There was remember there was a coffee shop porch, which literally had a fucking porch. It was this funky little like it felt like, you know, some kind of roadside fucking uh like tin fucking hut or something. And they tore all that shit down and built like a Starbucks in like a condo building. And it became clear that all up and down Fourth Avenue, they were just going to bulldoze whatever was there and build these giant glass because they had to. It was on this rail line, and like it's a good neighborhood. It's near the park. It's near whatever transportation, this and that. So, and they have, you know, that's where the people are priced out of Manhattan because every fucking rich person in the world lives here now. And so they're pushed down to Bay Ridge, you know. Oh god. And so we've seen them build more stock. You know, like there's all these new condo buildings and four over ones or whatever they are, and like Bushwick and like East Williamsburg, whatever the fuck, Williamsburg, Greenpoint. Greenpoint is like the meat packing district, man. There was this club in Greenpoint. Literally, there was a velvet rope and a doorman. Like you had to go to this one door and you knock on it. You talk to this guy, then he sends you around the corner to like this red carpet velvet rope fucking thing. Like this is fucking Greenpoint. You know, this isn't fucking like Soho. Uh so I don't know. They have built new shit. They're not building the right new shit. They're building like these super talls and these like rich people apartment buildings. There could be more invention and evolution in architecture, you know, to figure out how do we figure out to how to increase the housing stock in these cities and still make it what keep it what it is, keep the integrity of what it is. How do we build more in Manhattan without destroying what's already there, bulldozing, you know, like Second Avenue, even in the East Village, like Second Avenue has changed a lot. That fucking church fucking fell down or they bulldozed it or whatever. They bulldozed a lot of stuff on Second Avenue between like Houston and like St. Mark's. And like I said, some of the new stuff they're building, it's not that bad. It is what it is. But like if more people can live there, I don't necessarily think that's going to make it cheaper than what was there, actually. Like, just because more people can live there, it's like, well, yeah, but what did they build it with? You know, like that doesn't necessarily decide how much the real estate is worth. Like there's real estate value is so tied to like investment now that it drives the cost up. It's expensive to build in the East Village because that land is very desired. And so you can only have rich people build there or develop there. And so it's going to attract investors with a lot of money that they need to get rid of and park in something. People want to put their money into an asset rather than just put it in a fucking bank or whatever. It's smart to put your money in real estate because and I mean, especially now, it helps those people to have their property value go up. They make money if the shit gets more expensive, but the rent goes up because it's like, well, the property value is insanely high because rich people are competing to fucking own it. So it's not just like normal supply and demand, like people who want apartments. The supply and demand is distorted because the building is like an asset, and the building is like a company. They'll start some kind of LLC or something that's like a company that owns the building or whatever, a trust, and that's what they're like investing in. And so it's sort of a profit driven money laundering scheme, as we all know. And so it's not. I don't just don't feel like it's accurate to say like, oh, we just need more apartments. It's like, well, it's almost like there's two competing markets. There's the market of people who want apartments, but then there's the market of people who like want to own real estate and who like have because they're not being taxed because there's wealth inequality. They have all this money that like they need to get rid of, basically. So it's like, oh, I'll buy a fucking brownstone in the West Village or whatever the fuck. I'll buy some $230 million apartment that I'm never even gonna fucking move in because like it's an asset and I can't just have this liquidity sitting around or whatever the fuck. Somebody will get my PIN number and steal it. And so that is one reason why the real estate in New York City is so expensive and they want it to be. There's been a strategy to like flip the whole city. They flipped New York City like a brownstone. Bankers basically came into possession of the city in the 70s when the city went bankrupt and they gentrified it so it would be valuable for rich people from all over the world to be a playground for billionaires to attract that money. And so that's who lives in Manhattan now, trust fund kids. It's not working class people. The housing stock is not for those people. They are priced out. Anybody who's a waiter, or I don't know. I mean, maybe I like some of the bartenders at KGB live like on the Upper West Side and like you know n- in the 70s and 80s. Like that's a pretty nice area. I'm just curious, like who the fuck does live there? Who is in all those apartments? How much do they cost? Is it more expensive to live in the 70s on the Upper West Side than it is in Park Slope? Like I would assume so, but I have no fucking clue because I'm economically like non-existent practically, economically irrelevant. Okay, this has been a real success. think I've probably had 15 views. 2 likes, that's not bad. I espouse some of my compromised political views, I guess. I'm just trying to reconcile all of this stuff. It's like just to provide some nuance, some blowback to the media frenzy about, you know, the coronation of Mamdani. And just frustration because that these things are used against the Democrats and they help put Trump in power. It's almost like Ross Perot. Bernie's almost like Ross Perot or something, even though he didn't run. Uh, they split, they split the party. And in a way, in our political system, unfortunately, that's like just suicide. And so it wouldn't be a surprise to me if that was something that like the right cultivated amongst the left. They wanna encourage people to be exclusionary, to be polarized, to yeah, push all these male fucking voters over to us. Why not? We'll take them. That's free money. That's free real estate. Yeah, we'll somehow be like the cool edgy party. Sure, we'll take it. Take the L, Dems. Take the L. So what the fuck else do we need to talk about? Well, I don't know. I've talked about economics and like supply and demand and real estate and shit a lot on this, but like it does feel like it's been a while and it bears repeating because this is like the crisis that we're facing and it's exploded and just making everybody miserable. Or it seems that way. Maybe not everybody. Maybe that's just my TikTok uh, indoctrination. But I mean, that's the core of Mamdani's campaign, right? His whole thing is designed around cost of living crisis, basically, and the fact that he wasn't completely pro-Israel. He was sort of outspoken. Did he say? Has Mamdani said the word genocide? He probably has. But let's check. Has Mamdani ever had a job? Zoran Mamdani has barely ever held a job, says the New York Post. Is that true? He wasn't a bartender. He has admitted he's a nepo babe. See, this is the New York Post, though. I mean, they're super right wing. What was I going to ask about Mamdani? Has Mamdani said the word genocide? Has Mamdani called it genocide? Zoran Mamdani has described Israel's war in Gaza as "quote unquote" genocidal. See, that's a smart way to kind of. Oh, okay. He has repeatedly used the word genocide to describe the war in Gaza. So that's not a surprise to me. I mean, that's a big part of his appeal, I'm sure. That is a line in the sand for a lot of these people. But just for argument's sake, let's see the counter, the New York Post. New York City Mayor Mondani, who has lived most of his life in subsidized housing, failed in his attempts to be a rapper, musician, and managing previous political campaigns. An analysis of the 33-year-old's work history show he has been employed for only approximately 3 years in the time between graduating college in 2014 and being elected to New York State Assembly in 2020. Behind the shiny social media posts of the progressive upstart, there is little substance and no proof of success, critics point out. What does this guy know? Blah, blah, blah. He has no idea how a city works, how to run a jail, how to run a subway system, and the biggest sanitation department in the country. Who would he even surround himself with? Children like him? He went to Bowdoin College. I don't know what. I think, is that an Ivy League or that's some kind of like Mini Ivy or something. Why did he go to Bowdoin? Why didn't he go to Harvard? That's what I want to know. If Mamdani's so fucking smart, how come he didn't go to Harvard? With a degree in Africana studies. There you go, once again. He worked as he has a degree in Africana studies. I mean, okay. He worked as an organizer for advocacy group Move On in Seattle for 4 months. Blah, blah, blah. I remember Move On. I think I had a job interview with them or something. It's like canvassing, sort of. He spent 2 months at Tex PIRG, an advocacy group in Texas. Who knows what that 2 months, 4 months, that's not really long. He can't really hold a job. How's he going to be mayor? He's never even had a fucking job. He couldn't hold a job longer than 2 months. He worked as music supervisor on his mom's movie. I mean, that's pretty common. His dad's a professor of anthropology, political science, and African studies. I created a playlist for Mira, who happens to be my mother. You know, nepotism and hard work goes a long way, quipped Mamdani in an interview with Kaya FM in South Africa shortly before the Disney film was released. At the time, Mamdani was 25. He then decided to pursue a career as a rapper in his native Uganda, working under the name Mr. Cardamom. Blah, blah, blah. Campaign manager for progressive candidate Ross Barkin during his unsuccessful campaign for New York State Senate in 2018. He was a short stint as a financial counselor for Chaya, a nonprofit that works for the South Asian community, Queens. Okay. Where he says he now lives in a rent-stabilized apartment before running for state assembly in 2020. Has he ever worked in a restaurant? That's what I want to know. Did he ever scoop ice cream? You know, I mean, I've never had a real job. What's his LinkedIn page say? He lived in Columbia University housing, a plush apartment with no rent. Those are his own words. Okay, well. I mean, it's clear that New York Post just wants to slime the guy. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, anyway. Well, let's see the comments. 1,000 comments. New York and frankly all voters. This Don Gately's. Well, I don't know. Unfortunately, he fits right in with the rest of the Dem comms. None of them have ever worked an honest day in their lives, and they just want to secure an official position to pave the way to riches and fame on the back of the working class who pay taxes and vote for them, says Mahatma. Okay. Fair enough. What better way to continue not working than to get elected into office? And the New York voters will gladly oblige, even though they have learned nothing up to this point about putting Dems into power. If they want real change, Sliwa is their only choice. I do like Sliwa in a fucked up way. He seems real to me. I mean, he doesn't have a chance in hell, but I like that he exists. I mean, I think it's important to see. I can't believe Sliwa is taken seriously to the extent that he is, because he's a maverick. He's an eccentric, and this guy's in second level. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Mayor of New York City is the super big time, not to be joked about. This is not a train on the job type of position. There are very few qualified to run New York City. Mamdani is doing a disservice to the citizens of New York. Catchphrases may get applause, but they have no substance. Wake up, New York City. If you don't, you only have yourself to blame. He, like Obama, is a Manchurian plant by the extremists. I don't agree with that. That's insane. I don't think he's a Manchurian plant. I think, if anything, we're the Manchurians. I think they are programming everybody through their fucking phones. to think how they want us to think, like the Manchurians candidates. Zero accomplishments, all talk. Great bot generated social media prez. I don't think it's bot generated either. I think he really does have, he has like, he's hot. He's hot right now. Like that means something. Like he's caught on with fucking people who desperately want to be cool and write about everything. What does Barry Weiss think? I bet she hates him. I mean, New York Post, I think, is super pro-Israel. Doesn't mamdani, the millionaire, Momdannie, the millionaire, live in a rent-stabilized apartment that could go to someone who really needs it? Yeah, mamdani, how about you give me your apartment? I'd love to live in plush, no-rent Columbia fucking University. Well, I kind of do, I guess. Just kidding. Schumer has never had a job. Sanders has never had a job. Joe Biden never had a job. Okay. Well, there you go. I guess all these Democrats. Cuomo never had a job. Actually, being senator is a job, you fools. And who backs him? Sanders and Cortez, two socialists who are getting rich off the government, and you and me, says Colorado Mountaineer. These people literally think that like Democrat politicians are like corrupt and becoming millionaires from like bribes, lobbying, insider trading. This is a common thing they talk about. Oh, Nancy Pelosi only makes what? A couple $100,000 a year. How does she have $40 million? I don't know, everybody. I mean, these people get consultant jobs. They're on the boards of shit. There's plenty of ways they can make money. They get speaking engagement. There's different ways. It's like lobbyists, of course. What does this guy have in common with people like Obama, Pelosi, Schumer, and AOC? He and they have never had a responsible job in their life. So clearly, the readers of the New York Post are like working class people. And so they're trying to drive a wedge through the bots in the comments. Or maybe the people are doing it themselves. That's what I mean by they're the Manchurian candidates. Is like the comment section is like bots that are sort of telling these people what they're supposed to think. And so they are spending time in the comments, like espousing these talking points, whatever's been programmed into them about what they're supposed to believe about whatever the new, like Pelosi, Schumer, Obama, and AOC. They've never had a job. They're all just like these Hollywood politicians. They're fucking Manchurian candidates, apparently. Soros probably paid for them, the extremist commie Soros. They have gone almost directly from college into politics. Voting for people who have no real world experience has the predictable negative consequences. So this is another thing. It's like the anti-college sentiment, right? They're trying to drive a wedge, and they want people to be uneducated, right? Because they vote for them. They vote for Trump. They vote for Cuomo, the uneducated people. But I mean, there is a difference between people with real world experience and people with college experience. And this is something that's really frustrated with me is like, and I can relate to this because these people in colleges are sort of pampered. There's tons of people that I know that went from undergrad to getting an MFA to being a professor immediately. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. How the fuck is this person a writer? They've never been in the real world. They never experienced shit. They've been protected, and now like the college is this sort of like ideologue space where it's like you have to be super fucking woke. And even if you are, it's like they don't really want people like me. It's been completely kind of like monopolized by social justice, type shit. And so that plays into this narrative where they are splitting off uneducated people who can't afford it anyway. College costs fucking money. If you can't get a scholarship, if you can't get fucking funding from the government, like you're going to go into student loan debt, right? Or you're not going to go at all and you're going to be uneducated and you're going to vote for Cuomo. or Trump. Whereas the people who have MFAs and fucking PhDs and fucking tenure and fucking grants and fucking this and that, like they're probably all about mamdani because they live in a fucking bubble. Or just culturally, that's their alignment, and there's this polarization between the working people and people like that. And they're playing the role they're supposed to play because they're trying to protect their own ass. And these people are playing the role they're supposed to play because they're pissed that they're on the outside. You have to be woke or you will get fired, or you just won't get the job. Like you're not going to get the job. Like they want, somebody who's going to fulfill some kind of quota for them. And so the Republicans are using this weak point of weakness to drive a fucking wedge between people who otherwise might be liberal. Working class, uneducated people, they might be liberal if they could get some kind of manual labor job, some kind of union job like 70 years ago or 80 years ago or 100 years ago. Uneducated people could afford a good life because of blue collar type shit, which is not the case anymore. They want people to go into these sort of like white collar, college educated type jobs, email jobs, laptop jobs, people who vote for Obama, Pelosi, Schumer, and AOC. Or not, mamdani, really. So I don't know. Either Democrats should just embrace, like if somebody comes up with popular support and wins a fucking election, if it's AOC, if it's Bernie, if it's mamdani, they should fucking embrace that. Be like, yeah, this is our fucking party. This is a part of what we do. It's left. Like I think they're afraid they want to lose the center. And the center is underestimated, particularly by leftists. They think the center is just like compromised, no principles, weak, pushing us further to the right, whatever. But a lot of people are in the fucking center, to be honest. Like most people are probably in the middle, some fucking place. And so the Democrats have to like account for that to some degree. Like I'm saying, these people like mamdani, Bernie, AOC, they're outliers and they're in situations where there's a constituency that is smart enough and privileged enough to understand that these people are good for them. That's not the case in most of the fucking country, where people are stupid as hell and basically treated like human livestock. And so they want to live hard and fucking win, bitch. Trump, bitch. They want to drive big fucking trucks that cost $100,000. Okay, just like Karl Marx, hardly worked a day, and so this is all about how he never worked. It's just amazing how people all say the same shit in the comments, and yet they feel some need to like say it. Maybe that's what I'm doing with this. Maybe I'm just saying the same shit that everybody else is saying. But why does he get subsidized housing? He's from Uganda. It's automatic for them. The comments is kind of the place where you can say the shit they can't say in the article. You can say the kind of gloves off, racist shit. This is one of the worst aspects of the internet. Is now it's encouraged a bunch of fucking keyboard jockeys to like be mean and like be horrible. Like how often do you see people in the comments that just like say mean shit? Like somebody commented in one of my videos the other day, I needed to see a barber or something. I cut my own hair, thank you. It's probably obvious, I guess, but the internet has just like really enabled people to just say mean shit and hide behind, the comment section where there's no consequences, there's no blowback, nobody's going to punch them in the face. And that has been a breeding ground for the political discourse and for Trump and the ugliness of all of that. And so I think these comment sections are like weaponized. I think the New York Post knows exactly what the fuck it's doing by letting these. Because I mean, to be honest, I read the comments almost more than I read the article. I'm probably not alone. The comments, but now there's all this like info war in the comment where there's bots and there's, they're trying to create the illusion of like a mass belief. So you'll join by like, oh, there's all these people in the comments saying, well, mamdani's never had a fucking job in his life, blah, blah, blah. And so like, oh yeah, these people believe that. So they must be right. They must know something that I don't know. He's from Uganda. It's automatic for them, says Red Locomotive. Andy is an Indian ethnically, yet has dual citizenship here. This guy should be on a no-fly list before a ballot. See, that's just fucking stupid. That's just one of my least favorite fucking things is like on Reddit. Every fucking like subject has like these like smart ass like joke answers. I hate anybody trying to be funny like in the fucking comments by like not answering the question, but like misinterpreting it and trying to be comedic about it. There's, this is why there's so many bad stand-up comedians now. The comments, because the comments are like any fucking coward who would never get up on a real stage or never say something to somebody's face can just like pound it into the comment section and what a big man you are. Like he should be on a no-fly list before a ballot. Like you're a piece of shit. 28 likes. Professors at universities like Columbia and NYU get subsidized housing because professors don't make much money and they could not afford to live in New York on a professor's salary. The universities offer small, subsidized apartments close to campus so that they can attract top talent. Otherwise, professors wouldn't want to work there. Mamdani has plans to actually build more affordable housing and wants to tackle the housing crisis, which would actually help. Unlike Cuomo, who was governor for 8 years and did nothing at all to help that problem. See, that's a real answer. That's a real person. This guy knows what the fuck he's talking about. He's not just some ignoramus mouthing off, shooting from the hip, shooting off his fucking mouth. Doesn't know what he's talking about. Just wanting to be racist, wanting to be cheap, hating the guy just because he's fucking different. Kind of chilly out there, everybody. My shit's still working. Can you hear me? I mean, Jesus Christ. I'm obsessed with this. I don't know. It seems like an important thing to sort of investigate or whatever. Well, I do think there probably has been like some brainwashing that is just like kind of like cause like traditional liberal people to sort of like balk or like even within the party, right? Like there's all these people who are like hesitant to endorse Mamdani and like even Colbert like grilled fucking Mamdani in a way that was like kind of hostile and skeptical. And so I do think that there's something bred into people to like to discourage support for whatever he represents. And so I think for some people that's part of the appeal. And for other people, it's like even part of the reason I'm doing this is because I want to research the guy and like find out like, oh, wait a minute, like this is actually a good thing, and like let's try to get past the propaganda that's like the knee-jerk kind of like dismissal of this guy, or like Bill Maher, I'm sure is very like anti-Mamdani. And to be honest, like I do think it's like a racism. And it's like it is like a deep down. I do think it's a racism. It's a xenophobia. He's Islamic. His name is, like I said, it's not like a traditional. But I also think that's part of the appeal for people. It's a signifier to like the woke people, like, oh yeah, this is us. This is who we are. This is how we're fighting this war. And because we're all polarized into our own little identity fucking tribes. Almost all politicians have never had a real job. They've lived very well off taxpayers. Government grifting is a job. Well, mamdani is perfect for the mayoral position, says Edmund Fitzgerald. Okay. Tuition at Bowdoin is over 60 grand a year. Not bad for a socialist who received a degree in a useless field of study. But hey, the uninformed voters of New York City will vote for him, especially the elite liberals on the Upper East and West Sides because of their white guilt, says Bob Sacamano. How can you be a Seinfeld fan and like that's how you think? It just makes no sense. I love Kramer. Well, I guess Kramer's racist too. So, okay, here comes Jim Sykes again. He's the voice of reason. Socialist does not mean here that no one earns any money. Democratic socialist means essentially like Northern Europe. Are there thriving companies in Northern Europe? Yes. Is there a social safety net? Yes. Will rich people still be in New York if he's mayor? Yes. The difference is right now we have a system where anyone who's not extremely rich is having a hard time staying in New York. Democratic socialist simply means attending to working class needs more. The wealthy will be just fine. That's how they should sell it. Exactly that right there. Democratic socialists simply means attending to working class needs more. That's what's so tricky about this is like they're trying to get it, they're clearly trying to drive a wedge between him and the working class. And so it is a little bit hard for people to swallow this privileged person forcing policies down their throat that are going to help them. A rich person pontificating to working class people about working policies that are going to help the working class feels like they would resist that or they're trained to resist that or something. Or it's just ironic. Like he's a person of privilege. He's not a working class person. As they are, that's the whole point of this article, is that he's never worked. So you can't be working class. He grew up rich. He went to this private college that cost shitloads of money. And yet his policies are for the working class. And so he's not one of them. So how does he convince them? That's kind of I think partially where like the distrust comes from. It's like this guy's not like us. He's not somebody I'd want to have a beer with, maybe. You know, I smell private school. But it's ironic because he would actually be the best candidate for them, according to this anyway. But Bernie feels like that too, and the whole kind of leftist thing feels like that. Like it's coming from a place of wanting the best for everybody, and it's coming from a place of intelligence. And yet these people are kind of insufferable and kind of alienating a lot of people from their cause or I don't know. It's polarizing. There's people that are super fired up about it, but then there's people that are really uncomfortable with it. And so I don't know. Maybe that's just the reaction that you get when you do something really strong. But it does kind of suck that it's coming from like this nepo baby, uh, child of privilege, who also gets a pass because he is not white. If he was just a white guy from the Upper West Side who went to private school, would he have the same kind of like leftist like fire? Would he be at the fucking Lucy Dacus concert if he was Beto O'Rourke or whatever? If he was, I don't know. There isn't even a white guy I don't think who's comparable. Maybe
Look at AOC, who transitioned from being a bartender with no notable experience to becoming a millionaire in Congress. So I don't know. It's kind of all the same shit. The bots in the comments, you get it. Okay, now I've got 2 people watching. God damn it! I was doing something really interesting, but it's over now. We've been talking about mamdani, the legend of mamdani. Everybody, we've been glazing mamdani. I don't know. I was going to get off actually because I kind of need to eat something. It's getting late. It's Friday night. Is anybody doing anything fun? Let me know. If you're out there watching, let me know if you're doing anything fun. I'm trying to do something fun with my life for once. It sucks because there's really no open mics on Friday or Saturday night. And like that's the night I most want to go out and party the distance with people. But it's My Dinner with Andre night Monday. Come out Monday. Go back and watch from the beginning. What can I say? Where have you been all my life? I've been doing this for 2.5 hours. Now I finally got 2 people watching. Go start watching from about an hour in. It gets good about an hour in. The first hour is just awkward. Talking about Gaza, Trump, the Nobel Prize snub. I mean, the thing about the Nobel Prize in Literature is it's almost always somebody you've never heard of. You know, they act like every year the betting odds for the Nobel Prize in Literature are always so off. They always think like Thomas Pynchon is going to win, or like I think Philip Roth was the favorite for like a long time. And it's like they're not going to give it to Philip Roth. Like, I'm sorry, like they're going to give it to some obscure fucking like European country you've never even fucking heard of, or like this guy's Hungarian. Like, great. That's the point of it. You know, it's kind of nice when they give it to like, you know, Annie Ernaux, or did Elena Ferrante get it, or who was it? You know, like it's either somebody that like Bob Dylan, who everybody's fucking heard of, or it's like somebody that nobody's fucking heard of. It's like some obscure writer, Mario Santo. What was that guy? Vargas Llosa or whatever. Not that no one had ever heard of him, but like they're not going to give it to fucking Stephen King or something. You know, they're not going to give it to fucking you know, they didn't give it to Ashbery. They didn't give it to Alice Notley. They didn't give it to Bernadette Mayer. They didn't give it to fucking... They did give it to Louise Glick, of all people. So it's like... I guess I can see the Louise Glick thing, but like, to be honest, there were more deserving people, actually. In America. You know, if they're going to give it to an American woman... Not that Louise Glick was like the worst choice. It's not a bad choice, but there's better. They should have given it to Alice Notley, probably, you know, to be honest. Or Bernadette Mayer, really. Or give it to fucking Eileen Miles, you know? I think Eileen Miles is totally a valid candidate for a fucking Nobel Prize. Frankly, I mean that. I do. But it's like, you know, I think T.S. Eliot, you know, there's tons of famous people who never won the Nobel Prize, fucking James Joyce, Proust. There's tons of giants of literature who never won the fucking Nobel Prize. And there's tons of people that's like, I never even heard of this fucking person. Mario Poe or whatever. Not that any of them are necessarily bad choices, but like, there's definitely tons of them that like sort of come and go. And you're like, they're not going to give it to Michelle Houellebecq. Like, I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. Like, I don't know why. God knows why they fucking make the decisions they make. There doesn't really seem to be any rhyme or reason to it. Like this woman who won the Nobel Prize apparently is like a Zionist. She's like asked Bibi to like intervene in Venezuela like a bunch of times. It seems like kind of a fuck you to Trump because they gave it to like a Hispanic woman from Venezuela where he's actively trying to like start shit. It seems like they were never going to give it to Trump. Is he fucking nuts? They gave it to Obama for nothing. I think the Nobel people kind of have a big ego about, like when they gave it to Bob Dylan, it was right before Trump won the election. And it very much felt like they were trying to make a statement about our politics. It felt like they were trying to tell us, like, this is what's good about America. They wanted to make this big, splashy news. Bob Dylan, songwriter. This is what's positive about America, what he represents, whatever the fuck that is. Vagabond, Woody Guthrie, kind of like troubadour, poet, romantic, uh, from the Iron Country, Jewish, working, sort of working class, political, wrote protest songs. Even though Bob is sort of like politically probably right wing, I would say in some ways, he's sort of, he's ambidextrous with everything. Like, I don't think Bob wants to be limited into any one side of anything. And so I think he sees it both ways. I think like he was at Clinton's inauguration, but he may have voted for fucking Reagan or Trump. I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't be surprised if Bob Dylan voted for Trump, to be honest. Like, that's just the kind of guy he is. He's got to be kind of incendiary and provocative and defying expectation. That's always been a big part of what he does. But I don't think that the Nobel Prize was thinking that much into it. They just think they were thinking, oh my God, we hope Trump doesn't win this election. So let's give this prize to fucking, what we think is like the best of American kind of like character, as a way to sort of like comment. It was more about them in a way. It felt like, let's do something splashy in direct defiance of sort of the rise, because we want to make a statement about the rise of Trump and authoritarianism and blah, 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 or the potential rise. And it feels like this, when they gave Obama the fucking prize, it was kind of the same thing. Like, a lot of people were pissed off because it was like, well, what did he do? He didn't really do anything. He got elected, which is sort of, I think this woman in Venezuela, I don't even really know that she did anything. She ran against whoever the fucking president is now, who's like a fucking totalitarian asshole. So it's like, I don't know. It's always somebody you never fucking heard of, for the most part. Obama was different. Obama was like, it was clearly, once again, they were trying to say something about like, congratulations, America, you elected a black president. We support that. And this is a tremendous step for world like perception, because like having a black president is like a huge progress and just in the world fucking history. The highest office, the most powerful person in the free world is a black man in a country that had fucking slavery, less than 150 years prior. That's pretty amazing. And so it seemed like they wanted to sort of make, condone that. That's what it was about, rather than like, he didn't stop a fucking war or a famine or something, So I don't really know anything about the Hungarian guy who won the Nobel Prize in Literature. That's one of the things that is nice about it, is that it is international for the most part. I don't know exactly how it breaks down, like by race, but like it feels like the Olympics. There have been Asian winners. There have been, South American winners, African winners. Asian. There's been people probably from a lot, it's not like the fucking World Series or something where it's like an American wins every fucking time, or a British person. They're good about spreading it out internationally, which they're all over the map as far as like whatever the validity of the Nobel Prize is. But it's still probably the most prestigious award, worldwide. There's nothing better. There's nothing that trumps it. Apparently, the MacArthur grant is $800,000 a year now. It used to be $500,000. Now it's not a year. It's just $800,000. You get $800,000 if you win a MacArthur grant, which is kind of fucking insane, actually. I mean, I had $20,000 during the pandemic, and I felt like, oh my god, I'm rich. Imagine having $800,000. That is a huge, huge amount of money. I didn't recognize a single person who won. And I don't think there was a poet who won, which for the poets out there, they're all about that grant money. Like, you're slacking. Like, what the fuck? Get your shit together. How come there wasn't a poet in the fucking MacArthur Genius grants? They neglected me again, and yet another year I was passed over for the MacArthur. Apparently, they haven't seen my vlogs or my live streams or read my chapbooks or been to the open mic or anything really. So, another year I'm not a genius, everybody. And another year I'm $800,000 poorer. Better luck next year, everybody who wants to win that MacArthur. I know we're all in the running. You know, we're all technically eligible, I think. How do they choose that? Who's on the fucking committee to dole out? I mean, Trump hasn't killed that. How is Trump not? Doge didn't slash the fucking. They didn't take over the MacArthur and just like turn it into. They didn't give it to fucking Aiden Ross or something. Theo Vaughn didn't get a fucking MacArthur. Or who's gonna win the Mark Twain Prize for humor under the Trump? Andrew Dice Clay. I think that would be fair. That'd be a good pick. I think I wouldn't have a problem with that. Who's gonna win the MacArthur under the Trump? When Roger Stone is handing out the grant money. Sean Hannity. Okay. Here's one thing I did see about Mamdani is apparently he's into AEW wrestling, which I'm not really that into AEW personally. It's okay. It's kind of weird. It's sort of like a cross between TNA and like ECW sort of. I'm really not in these moves where they like back body drop a guy onto like a fucking chair that's like open and like stand. Like there's some really crazy fucking bumps that guys are taking on like the steel steps now. I'm not really into that. I watch that stuff and I'm like, these guys, they don't really know how bad they're fucking their shit up. Will Ospreay's not gonna be able to fucking walk. But apparently Mamdani's into AEW. So I think that's cool. He likes wrestling. Apparently, what's his opinion on the Triple H era? I'd like to know. What are they calling the new WWE era? What's the era? The new era, the new blood, or the something? I don't know. The TKO era, the post Vince era. What's Mamdani's stance on Vince McMahon? Will he prosecute Vince McMahon if he's mayor? We need to extradite McMahon to New York and put this guy on trial. And Trump and Diddy. Diddy only got 4 years. That's kind of nuts, actually. He acted like, oh my God, 4 years, Jesus Christ. 4 years is like he got a slap on the wrist. I thought Diddy was going to be in jail for the rest of his life. 4 years is nothing. He'll probably be in Martha Stewart prison or something. He'll probably be in some fucking like minimum security like park in like Long Island or something. Like I don't think Diddy is going to like, Supermax or whatever. But anyway, thank you for watching or not watching or whatever the hell this was. There was some funny shit. Go back and check it out later. Thank you, everybody. Come to the open mic on Monday. Let me know if you're there, where the party at. All right. Have a good night, everybody. I'm gonna go get a chicken sandwich.